Hey, what's going on everyone? This is Hui. In today's video, I'm going to play lazy loading method. You might feel, what? Had I heard it right? Actually, lazy loading method is just kidding. But I can give you an example. When you go for an interview, the interviewer may ask you questions like, have you ever used lazy loading to help device performance? When you hear this question, you might be very happy, because it is a very simple question. I believe you have used lazy loading for properties, but have you used lazy loading for methods? Then, how can you answer? You cannot answer that, because there is no such thing. And here I'm talking about a lazy loading method. I'm just making up a concept, but what it is. As we all know that, the lazy loading properties only when they are called. Memory is not allocated for that property until absolutely necessary. And if the property is actually never used, the memory doesn't get allocated at all. We can think about to use the same idea to the method. We only initialize the method when it's be called. This is the very special requirement. Does it have a usage scenario? Absolutely, because underlying of iOS system is used. So today I will take you to play with it. First of all, create a person class. Person. This person has a method eat, for example, but we don't declare it because I'm going to play lazy loading method. I go to view controller, import person, and I create a person. I call person alloc init. Normally, we call the method like this. In this case, the code even cannot pass the compilation. If you still remembered I mentioned in previous video, there is another way to call the method. It is perform selector. Of course, we can also use the message dispatch, but this time I use perform selector and try the code. We should meet a crash. Here, a crash. Person eat method is an unrecognized selector. Let's go to person class. Here, I type something. As you can see, one is a class method. Another one is instance method. We select instance method in this example. When we implement this method, we add a new feature. What does this method do? The program will come here if the person object calls a method that is not available. I can write some comments here. Come to this method if there is an unimplemented object method is called. Let's prove it. Print something. And it requires return. Now we return this method. Add a breakpoint. If the program comes to here, we can dynamically add methods here. Let's try. Yeah, see, it does come here. We can try to add a method here. And write some comments. add method here. Okay, if you have seen my previous videos, you have might guessed that we need to use the knowledge of the runtime again. So the first thing to do is add the header file. Import objc runtime. So how to do it? I type class add method. We pick this one. This is the function to add a method, and it has 4 parameters. To describe what the parameters they are, I would like to add more comments. So the first one, say ls, is class type. The second, sel, this is the method name. The third one, imp, this is the method implementation. But remember that it is a C language. What does meaning here needs the address of the function. I can give you a brief introduction. For example, when I define the function, and this function is in the memory, then I give the memory address of this function to you. When you call a method that is not implemented, you will tell it, hey, add a method to me. Then it will looking for what is the SEL, where is the implementation. It will go to find the pointer of this function, and then find the implementation of this function. Then call this function. Because the runtime is C language, so there are a lot of pointers, functions, and more. Okay, that's it. I hope you can understand. Let's take a look at the last parameter, text. This guy is a string, a C language string. We can leave it for now. Let's fill up the parameters first. The first one, class type, to tell the function which class you add the method to. In this example, it's a person class. And what method you are going to add? Actually, all the method calls are from cell. For example, in view controller, selector is a cell. Objective-C called it method, also a cell type. So what should we write a cell type here? It's this one. And then next, where is implementation of this function? We can define the function here. For example, I add a void it. So this is the function without parameters. Then I put a function name it to here. The last one, as I mentioned, we can leave it for now. So this is the way we added a method to person class, and the implementation is it. Actually, here the function required IMP, so it's best to cast it. The code will be more standardized. So next, let's see how it looks. I add some logs. Let's log. This guy is called. If this log can be printed, that means our lazy loading method is successful. Let's try. Great, look, this guy is caught. The app doesn't crash, right? We get it. So, the last thing. I have not explained the last parameter yet. What's it used for? Then we need to take a look at the Apple documentation. I can open it from Help, Developer Documentation, or you can press Command-Shift-0. Let me copy this again. Paste here. The first one. This is documentation for Swift. You can check Swift or Objective-C, whatever. And here you can see this is the description of the parameters. The first three I have explained. Let's see the types. What it is? Just hit type encodings. Then scroll down, and now you can see there are two columns. The code on the left and the meaning on the right. For example, say means a char. If the return type is a char, you need to pass say as a parameter. And the same thing, if the return type is an int, you need to pass I as a parameter. Same for short and other types. In this example, we need a void, so we need to pass a v as a parameter. Then let's take a look at the example code in the documentation. Look, here has two parameters. One is id self, another is cell. What's this? Let me tell you. This is two parameters that any functions will have. It's called implicit parameters. Remember it. In other words, when you write a function, it will have these two parameters. So that's the reason why you will see a lot of code and it's written like this. For example, here it is v at column. I copy this part and return to our example code and paste it here. Now we get more clear. V means the function returns void. At means the first parameter is an object. It's the id self. And colon means it is a cell type. So remember, v is the return type, and the following is the parameters. Hope you could understand. Let's try the code. Say, this guy is caught. So, this is what I call the lazy loading method. Add method to a class dynamically. I hope you understand. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hope you enjoy it. See you in next one.